Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Buffalo Roundup, your podcast home for all things VHS athletics. It's made by the Buffalo, for the Buffalo. Cody Hills here in the hosting chair today alongside my good buddy Marty Zuro. Missing our friend Drew Schulter, who's enjoying a nice vacation. Marty, can you imagine a vacation like first week of fall sports? What a lucky guy.
I mean, after the first 2 days of volleyball, I need a vacation.
Some long nights. Coach Michelle Mormon can attest to that, and more on that volleyball team here in a minute. But yes, brand new episode for you guys. Back for week 2 of the school year. Technically, I guess the first official week of regular season contests here on campus. A lot to get to, a lot to be excited about. We're going to touch on volleyball first and foremost. The Lady Buffalo are off to a 1-1 start here early in this season. A couple matches earlier this week. Of course, we'll get into football. Big week 1 matchup with the Wildwood Wildcats here this Friday night at H.G. Moore Stadium. A little rival matchup here to get things cooking. Always a good to start cooking with gas early in the season, Marty. And then, of course, all of our other fall sports getting ready to kick things off in full swing. Boys golf, bowling, all getting going this week as well. All of that and more on this edition of the Buffalo Roundup. And as a reminder, as you wait for each new edition of the Buffalo Roundup, you can find all you need to know about the Village's high school sports at any time on our athletics website. We've got a digital home just for you, complete with scores, schedules, rosters, and other information, such as ticketing and live stream broadcasts of Buffalo athletic programs right at your fingertips. Be sure to check us out online today at athletics.tvcs.org. Well, Marty, let's kick things off here. We're going to go inside where it's nice and cool this time of year inside the VHS Gymnasium. That's where you'll find the Buffalo Volleyball team. VHS Volleyball 1-1 start to their season. Picked up a season-opening victory on Monday night against Gainesville, a 3-1 decision there, and then followed that up Tuesday night with a 3-1 loss to the First Academy Orlando. So let's jump into it, Marty. 1-1 start for these girls. Some good, some not so good in the early going. Looked a little bit like the first 2 matches of the season we might expect.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how it's nice and cool in the gym, but man, our girls were on fire the first night against Gainesville. Gainesville comes in, couple girls, one girl over 6 foot tall. Kind of that look of the team that gave us trouble last year, and girls took it in stride. First 4 or 5 points, shaky, but you know what? First game of the season, you can't expect these things. But they did a really great job just adjusting to the game. Vivi Toussaint Martinez did a great job. You could tell she changed her strategy when spiking the ball, going for kills. And just an overall great service run by Sayla Childers in the middle of the game as well. And that just kind of brought the Buffalo up. Second night of the season against the First Academy, similar build to Gainesville, but what I noticed, they're just a bit more disciplined. Our girls didn't play up to their potential, I don't think. And it just kind of feels like there's bumps in the road. You know, a couple departures, graduating 5 seniors last year. You just kind of got to readjust yourself. And as that happens, you know, Michelle Mormon, head coach of the Buffalo Volleyball program, she'll get that figured out. The girls will get into a role. And also, they're missing one of their key players, a transfer in from Washington, the state of Washington, Adeline Day. Apparently, she spent the first 2 weeks of practice just setting the gym on fire. She was doing great, and then unfortunately suffered a back injury. So we're still waiting to see her in a Buffalo uniform taking action during a game, and looking forward to her return. You know, I think this team just has – it feels like they have a little bit more meshing to do for it to all settle down. All these girls play club volleyball. A lot of them play for the Buffalo Stampeders volleyball program, which Michelle Mormon is the director of. Some of them play on the elite team that traveled across the southeastern U.S., and a couple of them play on a team that ended up competing for at the Nationals. But you just kind of see they're clicking a little bit by little bit by little bit. Fortunately, they've got a little bit of time before their next match to turn it around, but their next match is a doozy, so they better figure it out quick.
Yeah, I think to that point, Marty, I mean, you talk about one person I want to call attention to. Alexia Laws had a really strong opener, both at the net, several blocks up front in her net front defense, but then also started getting that middle hitter position and wreaking havoc as well. Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of those points. I think you mentioned losing 5 seniors from a year ago, also a big-time transfer, Angelin Hunt moving out of the program. Was figured to play a lot of big minutes this year. And so in turn, there's a lot of minutes left on this floor, and a lot of minutes these girls who I would say maybe played maybe I don't want to say spot start duty or half the minutes last year, but now expected to pick up a lot more of expanded roles this year. Just players like Alexia Laws stepping into more. You're going to be expected to play the majority of minutes on most nights. And yeah, you mentioned Sayla Childers had a really strong service run there on that first night. Also, Sharon Weechen's coming back really strong from that knee injury. You know, it's just a tough break for her last year, ending her season with that knee injury going out, ending in an earlier departure than we expected. She's come back and looked really strong. Overall, on the whole, really excited, I think, here early on. But yeah, I think there's some meshing to do.
You're also starting a 7th grader on a varsity volleyball team.
True.
Which is the fact that a 7th grader makes the varsity volleyball team is amazing. But Bailey Hunt, funny enough, sister to Angelyn Hunt, who transferred out. Bailey Hunt, one of the students here at the middle school in Middleton, Villages Charter School, Middleton. She's a starter for our varsity Buffalo, and you could tell the speed of the game is catching up to her. You know, it's that adjustment of the level she was playing at in club, the level she played at middle school last year. It's almost like a slingshot. It kind of got pulled back, and now she's being thrust into the speed of a varsity game. And I predict she's extremely talented. My prediction would be by the time you get halfway through the season, it's clicking for her, and she's all cylinders. And you see that with all of the girls. We saw it with Isabella Bradley and Anastasia Harding last year as freshmen. There was kind of that same thing. The speed of middle school pulled them back, and then they were shot forward into this is how you play varsity volleyball.
Yeah, two of those players, Isabella Bradley and Anastasia Harding, mentioned, are going to have to pick up more minutes. Overall, though, I'm not sure. You'd be hard-pressed to find a coach on this campus, Marty. I think you would want leading the charge of trying to get a unit more cohesive than Michelle Mormon.
Yeah, I mean, you and I had never played a competitive volleyball game before, but I feel like she could take the two of us and shape us into competitive volleyball players.
We could play a set.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. She's great at getting the team to be motivated. You can really see that the player leaders feed off of her energy. They're trying to pick up the pace. And, you know, volleyball season here in Florida, it feels like it's long, but it's actually a really short run. It's about 2 months worth of actual games before they hit the playoffs. So they've got, I think it's 19 more games to go of the regular season or something like that, 5 of which they'll play here on campus in the tournament they're hosting. It's just a part of getting going. And, you know, mid-September is where you really start to be able to go, okay, this team, here's the level of where we're at. How much further do we have to go? It's just our district is a killer, man.
It's a gauntlet.
Yeah. But you know what? I believe in them. I think they can produce the level of volleyball that they need. Honestly, if to my untrained eye volleyball wise, if they just clean up a lot of the mistakes they're making themselves, the only thing that'll hold them back after that will just be can they scheme and do what they need to do to make up for any talent deficits?
Yeah, a few more, I would say an uncharacteristic amount. Maybe if you factor in that it's the first 2 matches of the season, but I do feel like the unforced error is rather high, especially in the opener against Gainesville. You know, it was a very long match. It seems like all 4 sets were extremely drawn out at times, it felt like, and no one really was able to seize a handle on it, and it felt like maybe the unforced errors, something to do with that. But we're excited to see this VHS volleyball team in action as the season progresses. And hey, you can come see them in action, just like you can go see all of our sports teams by picking up your tickets through our official ticketing partner. That's at GoFan. You can catch all of our home athletic events here on campus with GoFan, the official ticketing platform of the Buffalo. Purchase your annual and season passes, individual and game event tickets, anything ticketing-wise, you name it, they've got it right there on your phone, tablet, laptop, or computer. Find us on GoFan today by visiting gofan.co, that's gofan.co, and type in the Villages into the school search bar. Well, Marty, let's head outdoors where it's not quite as cool as the volleyball team has it inside the gymnasium. I'll head out to the gridiron and talk some Buffalo football. Week 1 on the horizon. Buffalo Wildcats, VHS and Wildwood. The rivalry will ignite once again. Week 1, so again, a little bit early, just as it's been here recently, a little bit more early season matchup as it was a year ago with the season opener back again, kicking off this 2025 season. Before we get to that, though, let's turn back the clock just a little bit. Buffalo coming off a really fun and entertaining, a little bit different new look Buffalo approach to just the way that they handled business. 41-14 over Harmony in the Fall Kickoff Classic last week down in St. Cloud. Marty, that was a game in which we saw some of the new talent, new transfers coming in, Jamarian Clark, Antoine Johnson, receivers, both new receivers catching touchdown passes from the new starting quarterback, Jay Kennedy. He was up over 300 yards, 304 to be exact, 9 of 12 passing for 5 touchdowns out of Jay Kennedy in the preseason matchup. A lot to be excited about coming out of that preseason win against Harmony.
I mean, you've covered Buffalo athletics as long as I've basically been working with the school. Have we had a 5-touchdown game?
We have not had a 5 passing touchdown game.
And Jay Kennedy's probably really upset that it was a preseason classic and it doesn't
Jay.
count.
Yeah, sorry, Jay.
No, but I mean, you have to be excited about what's coming. And the nice thing is passing is flashy and it gets you a lot of yards. But what often wins football games is if you have a run set, if you have, a run package. And Coach Richard Pettis, he loves to run the football. He loves the control of the game clock. You just showed off all your passing stuff. It would not surprise me if it causes more confusion for opponents to start preparing, because now they can't just prepare for a standard set of run plays. They can't load the box with 7 or 8 guys like we saw last year. They can't not be prepared to cover the wideouts. Out of the 5 passing touchdowns, I would say 3 of them were simply because we just had better athletes on the outside. The other 2, the defense had no clue what was coming, and they lost the receivers cutting over the middle of the field. You just have to understand. You have to understand football to understand what's happened with this team. Last year's team, that old style, we're going to run, grind. This year's team, it kind of looks like they're going to go a little more flashiness. And if that starts paying off for them, man, it kind of comes down. Our district, man.
Yeah. Yep.
To Titan and Coco in our district. But, hey, once again, if there's a coach in the state of Florida that I trust to scheme and prepare, it'd be Richard Pettis on offense. It'd be Mark Geis on defense. So, last week kind of was that little bit of a appetizer for what we're going to see this week. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens this week in a rivalry matchup.
Yeah, you touched on that run game a little bit. Buffalo sort of, I don't want to say held in check by any means. Cole Logan, 9 carries for 72 yards. And McGuire Mellinger, a freshman, came in 71 yards rushing and a touchdown for him. Didn't even get to see the new shiny, flashy toy for the Buffalo, that being Trenard Roberts. He will be in action this week, officially eligible. The transfer from IMG Academy down in Bradenton, and nothing special about him. Number 1 running back in the country, class of 2027. Number 1 in the state, class of 2027 by rivals. Who cares about that? No. Very excited to see Mr. Roberts in action. Also,
I'd like to challenge you. Can you list all those offers, or are you just going to say the number? Because
I think the Florida Gators are probably feeling pretty good about Mr. Roberts' choices right now. We'll just leave it at that. But that being said, there's a lot of offense, right? There's a lot of mouths to feed, if you will, on offense. As a coach, where do you think Richard Pettis goes in terms of, look, you got Antoine Johnson, a transfer in at wide receiver, caught a touchdown, knows he can produce in this offense. Jamarian Clark catches 3 touchdowns in the preseason game last week. He's feeling good about coming here and making a decision. Omari Hill back again here at the Villages, catches a touchdown last week. You got 3 big-time players, and we still had some guys out last week that'll be good this week. There's a lot of mouths to feed on offense. How do you think Coach Pettis approaches that on offense?
I think it's what the game gives you. He often scripts the first drive of plays and then starts going with how he feels situationally, all that type of stuff. I don't think – if in a perfect world, if he threw the ball 20 times in a game, forward go here, forward go there, forward go there, forward go there, and then 10 runs, and then the game – the rest of it is all of your red zone package stuff that you just got to get to open person. In a realistic football game, I don't know. You figure whatever receiver has the other team's best defensive back on him, that's probably the receiver that for that game isn't going to get targeted as much. The game plan will probably lead towards that, though at the same time, as much changeover there's been here at the Villages, there's been at Wildwood too. So there's not a lot of game film out there to really reference off of. New head coach, bunch of new players in there. I kind of feel like they're going to be conservative at first, but I'll tell you what, would it surprise me if he comes out and takes a shot in the beginning? Not at all. Would it surprise me if he comes out and goes very conservative and runs the ball 4 or 5 times just to get things going? Not at all. So I think you're just going to have to feel it out. I do think, though, the key to the game will be cleaning up all of those special teams things that kind of were a little bit present in Harmony first game of the season. It's pretty hard to run a live 11-on-11 special teams because, especially in high school football, the 11 guys you want on special teams when you have the ball are the same 11 guys you want on special teams when you're receiving the ball.
Right.
So
Yep.
That was the first time they probably put the whole unit together and went, he doesn't know what he's doing, or, hey, he went the wrong way. You just got to figure those things out, and that's why you have a preseason game.
Yeah, special teams, maybe the one area of concern, I think, after talking with Coach Pettis afterwards. A few plays were a little less than ideal. In fact, the Buffalo, the only 2 touchdowns that they surrendered to Harmony, both came with the Longhorns offense off the field. It was an interception return for a touchdown, and then a punt block that was recovered in the end zone. So their special teams, Coach Pettis always says, you have one play to be perfect on special teams sometimes, and that can impact a game. So at least the Buffalo shore that up. Again, VHS and Wildwood, 7 p.m. here at HG Moore Stadium in Middleton. Should be a fun one to get the season kicked off and underway.
Yeah, and you know what? If you don't have a chance to come out this week to the game, Cody, you can always find out and keep up with the action on the Buffalo Athletics social media. If you're on Facebook, our page is listed as VHS Buffalo Athletics. On X, formerly known as Twitter, it's at Villages Buffalo, and the same on Instagram, at Villages Buffalo. You can see things on there, all of the game day posts, all of the game day recap, final score graphics, all the stories are linked there, and sometimes a special little treat from our SID, Cody Hills, getting you to look around the Buffalo Stadium, familiarize yourself with the surroundings. All that type of stuff is on our social media page. Go ahead, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share. All those things that our athletes out there know how to say, but you and I probably don't in terms of social media.
Just do it, kids. All right, Marty, and let's finish up here our final segment on this episode of Buffalo Roundup. We're going to get around to some of the other fall sports because it's not just football and volleyball. Everyone else getting ready to get in full swing. In fact, 2 sports already getting underway this week. The boys' golf team, in fact, got going yesterday, Tuesday afternoon. It at least was nice and cool when the rain came. Golfing and rain, though, do not mix. The Buffalo washed out in their season openers. Actually ended up being a tri-match. Eustis came and joined Mount Dora Christian there, Mount Dora Christian Academy. The Buffalo were ahead through 2 holes completed as a team. I think top Buffalo golfer Braxton Williams, he got to the 5th hole, I believe, before he had to shut his round down. But all in all, at least a good start for the Buffalo boys golf team. They'll be back in action Thursday at Foundation Academy, Orange County National. You and I know a thing or two about Orange County National.
Yeah, we played there a couple of years ago.
Tough.
It's a challenge, that's for sure.
Good luck, boys. Let's also touch on the bowling team, VHS Bowling, under head coach Joe Hornstein. They're getting their debut going today on Wednesday, so you'll have to check our athletics website to get a recap on that. But they're getting ready to go here against Umatilla, the boys and girls program. Girls program losing just about everybody from that state runner-up squad a year ago. It's a bit of a rebuilding effort for Joe Hornstein on the girls' side. Over on the boys' side, a 6-9 mark a year ago, but a lot of those guys are back. And a few of those matches were close last year, so I think some added motivation for them. Again, they're getting ready to go here in a matter of just about a half hour here on Wednesday afternoon. So by the time you guys hear this, you'll be able to check out a recap for us on our athletics website.
And next week, 2 more sports start up. Cross country, they have their first meet. They've been practicing diligently. We talked about that on last week's episode. Cross country, you kind of get excited about because the first real time you post of the season is really how the whole season's based off of. You're always constantly trying to get a PR, personal record off of that time and best yourself every single week. And then finally, next Thursday, it's splashdown at the VHS pool. We say it every year. As soon as the swimming and diving program is ready to start, they're in that pool. They're swimming fast. They're flipping prettily. I don't know how to express diving yet.
I'm not going up on that board. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they're
too high.
They're all out there practicing every single day. They're in they have a swim meet next week starting on Thursday. All of which we'll recap as we go along here. And, it's just exciting. We're in the full swing of things, a new school year, new sports season, a lot of things going on. And it's great to be seeing all of these start off.
It is, and I think I'll just touch on real quickly the coaches of all of these teams. Boy, we're very blessed to have really good coaches here, right? Very coaches who take care and effort. And you just look across the board at all these fall coaches, whether it's Richard Pettis with football, Michelle Mormon at volleyball. I already talked about those 2. But you start looking at JP Probola and down the line, Coach Mitchell with swimming, and all the way on through Coach Martin and Marston with golf, and then of course mentioned Joe Hornstein and bowling,
and even our athletic trainer Steve Zimmerman
Zimmerman.
All these kids. Yes, they're in the school, but you've got to get them athletically cleared, physicals, a whole bunch of paperwork that the FHSA makes us fill out. He's on top of it too. He's out there every single day sweating just as much as any coach.
This is just turned into a shout-out session basically, guys. But also Shayna Paxson, new first-year athletic secretary. Of course, Kathy McCracken, the bookkeeper. It is go time for everybody around these parts as we get our fall sports underway. And we're glad that you're here with us. You're going to stick with us not only on our athletics website, social media, all the stuff we told you about. Get your tickets with GoFan. Again, big-time football game here Friday night. No better way than to start the season off with the rival Wildwood Wildcats coming to town. A lot of competition, a lot of a fieriness here already to this one. Should be a fun matchup Friday night. And you heard it. We got all these other events coming up here as well. So that'll do it on this edition of the Buffalo Roundup. For my partner, Marty Zuro, for Drew Shaltry, enjoy that vacation, buddy. I'm Cody Hills. Marty, let's tell them what we like to tell them.
Go Buffalo.